a ref comes down in a Vince McMahon mask. A second referee comes down with a Vince McMahon mask. A third ref with a McMahon mask comes out. And now the three McMahon refs surround Triple H. It's time for another edition, baby, of Tales from the Attitude Era.
Woo! Oh, that's Ric Flair. I can't trademark. Does he trademark that? Woo!
I think there's a few extra O's in the one you did, so that one is beyond the trademark.
I do remember when Sting used to have his. His was more of a ow and not a woo. And believe me, that stuff's talked about ad nauseum. You put your foot on the second rope and you go like this. Well, I'll put my foot on the third rope and go like that. Okay, you can do that. Yeah, etc.
Tales from the Attitude Era. Rob Pasbani here with former WWE head writer Tommy Blacha, the man with the plan.
Yep.
And we're going through episode by episode of WWE during your tenure. Right now, we're
WWF at the time.
WWF at the time. We're reviewing season 1, episode 16 in Peacock. You're at the Fleet Center, the old Fleet Center, now the TD Garden, December 9th, 1999. A cool winter's day. This is the final show before the final pay-per-view of 99, Armageddon.
Let me set something up here a little bit because I remember this, watching this, and this did kind of affect the show. At the time, there was a thing in Boston called the Big Dig. It's probably, I think, if you look it up, Google it, Wikipedia it, was one of the biggest construction projects in the history of the world. Somehow it was putting a freeway underneath in like a big tunnel, but not just excavating it in this weird new way, because Boston was so landlocked. Like, Boston's a weird place. Like, almost 70% of Boston is like landfill on top of what used to be the bay. And so it was kind of going to a disastrous point of traffic problems. So they had this huge construction project. And when we went there, pre-GPS, whatever, the hotels we stayed at, and even where the Fleet Center was almost impossible to get to, because there was all this, like, they were tearing bridges apart. I remember my hotel counting about 30 cranes in the air because they were extruding earth through these big slats. It was just a nightmare. And I remember being on the phone with so many wrestlers who were like, I can't get to the hotel because the freeway ran out and it was just all this open land and there was bulldozers and you had to go past the bulldozers, and everyone was like, no, I'm in a construction zone. I'm like, no, it's it. You have to go past this. People in Boston will know what I'm talking about. It was so crazy. So people were constantly like late. People were late to the arena. So it was like, it had a little bit of an effect on this show. And then luckily this was a go home show to the pay-per-view, but it was a mad scramble. And the Fleet Center was pretty new at the time too. And even getting there now was still crazy, but it was just, everything was like, whew, everyone was running 1-2 hours late, production meeting, everything. It was a scramble.
So the Fleet Center replaced the old Boston Garden. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Correct. So they built a new arena. I see.
Correct.
And, that's very interesting because I always think about this when I'm traveling and I run into some BS on the road.
Sure.
I was like, oh, this is like the one time a year I'm on the road, but like, for someone like a wrestler who's on the road 4 or 5 times a week, this could happen 3 times in a week. Something that's crappy.
Yeah.
And that really just fucking ruins your day, I bet. It's like, you don't have the mental capacity to deal with it. You have all this other anxiety.
Yep. And in that business, that's like sometimes 60% of it showing up on time. That can really fuck your career, it can fuck, a lot of things. So that's like a big deal.
Yeah. And I believe there was even like fines, right? If you showed up past the call time.
Yeah.
Although I imagine here there was a little leniency because of the scenario, or would it?
Well, no, I think that this one was just crazy because it was affecting everyone. And it was just like the Big Dig. Look it up. Horrifying.
I assumed the show would be a little phoned in, just in the sense because you've already done so much storyline and everything is all like, you could have not had this episode and everything was ready to go, but you certainly had it now. And you're marketing to a different audience than Raw, because this is on broadcast television. Mm-hmm. And I thought this was a great episode, actually. There was a lot of really, really fun matches. And again, I'm really fascinated with how you're interweaving different storylines just to craft a new match to have to forward the storylines that the participants in the match are in.
Right. You always just got to look for some thread and some through line, but good news is you could always make it up. As far as marketing, I guess that's true, but really none of us, we're just still trying to pull it off. No one really ever thought like, now this is for network TV and Raw is for cable. It really, for the most part, it wasn't a thought. You
were running the assumption that the fan was watching both shows. They were keeping
absolutely,
up with everything.
Absolutely. In terms of that, in terms of storyline and all that, there was never a separation. Things might, there might be an odd thing here or there that came up that like, oh, we would do that on Raw, but not on SmackDown just because of it being salacious or something. I can't think of an example, but very rare and very here and there. But for the most part, storylines just plowed through both of them.
Now that you mentioned that, actually, I did notice things were once again a little scaled back. We're on SmackDown. We're on broadcast television. He's B.A. Billy Gunn, not badass Billy Gunn.
Right.
Which makes me wonder, why not just call him Billy Gunn? Why even draw attention to it? Who knows?
You know what? Here's an example. If let's say you were in the room there, hey, why not just Billy Gunn instead of B.A. Billy Gunn? Vince? I like BA. Let's BA. I don't know. Whatever. Or good idea. If no one brought it up or,
right.
Or,
well, that's why you need me in the room, folks.
Yeah. Although that is one of my bad Vince pet peeves is like Alexander Rusev is now 6 weeks in just Rusev, or whatever, proclivity to like, now let's take it to one, like, but you've already, it just seems, it just, to me, it smells like, oh, you think that's not working. And now you're doing this to make it work or more punchier. And it doesn't really. So, but B.A. Billy Gunn is, I think, not great. It should have been Billy Gunn. I do agree with you there.
Yeah. Road Dogg kicks off the show, does his intro. The crowd is hot. And then he's facing Chris Jericho, which I thought was interesting because they're currently both presenting as heel. And you have them facing, and Road Dogg is, I guess, DX or tweeners because he's sliding more into the face role in this match as Jericho says he's going to end Chyna's career this Sunday. And that thumb's the word, playing off the fact that he hammered her thumb. She's in a cast. And he said since he's facing a long-haired, effeminate, tattooed loser of a wrestler this Sunday, he thought tonight he would also face a long-haired, effeminate, tattooed loser of a wrestler, which would be the Road Dogg, who seemed to take some offense to it.
Yep. Jericho
says, you talk about doggy style. Today I beat you Ayatollah style.
Pretty good.
Chyna comes down for commentary.
Oh, but just one thing, just the booking of that match, if I remember, really was just one of those kind of simple, like, yeah, I'd like to see those two. They could both, do a little,
yeah,
just seemed like a good idea.
They actually had a program like a few months before you got there, and there may have been some heat between them. I'm not sure. I didn't have it. I wanted to check out Jericho's book before we started, but I forgot to look. But I'll keep up with it. So she says she's not 100%. But neither is Jericho because of the hammer. And then Cole reveals that Jericho suffered a concussion last week because of the hammer. And now he's back in the ring a week later after a concussion. Give the man some recovery time. Let his head recover. This is bad. We didn't have the info about CTE back then that we have now.
No, and it was funny because I was always pitching a lot to keep concussion stuff alive because I was always had like a back pocket pitch that Vince liked about like, one of these times, because concussions then were around certainly, and people had problems from them and what have you. But I always had a pitch where like someone's going to go goofy from concussions, and really affect their behavior. And we flirted with it here and there, and it kind of like wanted, but it was always like something to like always keep concussion as a good part of it. But even part of the storylines would be like, maybe a doctor said someone can't go and they want to go. It was a good way to put someone, on the shelf a little bit and they could act erratically or whatever. So that was always something. Yeah, keep concussions alive. That should have been the shirt. Keep concussions alive.
We're told that in all DX's matches, the other members of DX are barred from ringside or they will be fired. And this kind of also highlights that Chyna is theoretically no longer a part of DX. She has been split off from them because here she is at ringside, and she's not being fired. Great finish to this match, I thought. Which was Jericho hits the lion salt, gets the 3 count, but Road Dogg put his foot on the rope before the 3 count. The ref didn't see it. He calls the 3. China brings it to his attention that Road Dogg's foot is on the rope. Referee Tim White restarts the match. Jericho is quite upset. And in the hubbub, Road Dogg gets the advantage, hits the pump handle slam on Jericho, gets the pin. Jericho puts his foot on the rope, but China swats the foot away. Obviously doesn't tell the ref. And Road Dogg gets the victory. This is excellent booking.
Yeah, I like it. It was good. I don't know where it came from or who, but because that foot on the rope thing and stealing a victory, that's not new. But the second foot on the rope thrown off, I don't think I've ever seen that before. That was really good. And that again, anytime you can have someone lose with now, since we defined you as a clean finish smart mark, is that a clean finish? I mean, it's not a clean finish, but it's a pinfall. So we got to make it
is a pinfall finish. I wouldn't say it's not technically a clean finish because it did require China's interference. Well, I guess she's not interfering. No,
that's interfering.
Oh, you're right. She did interfere. Right. So yeah, it is not a clean finish, but clean finish, smart mark approved.
Okay, so maybe we better make a distinction from a pinfall. A clean pin, a pinfall smart mark. There's a difference between a 1, 2, 3, even if there's some shenanigans.
I mean, there could
as opposed to a schmaz.
Yeah,
a schmaz is like, oh, there's no finish.
Yes,
right?
That's fair. Right, that's 2 separate types of finish. Right.
Yeah. You're a pinfall smart mark.
Yeah. Definitely, I want that pinfall, but also I don't like. When a manager just gets on the rope to distract the ref and someone comes in and low blows and then there's a clean pinfall. That to me still is not a clean finish. Right. Even though
that's that. Yeah. That word clean. Right. But it's a pinfall. Yeah. And then within, I got you.
We'll refine this as the episodes go on to find the ultimate.
Certainly. Yeah.
The ultimate finish. But I thought this was awesome. I really enjoyed this. And it's a great way to get heat on the match with Jericho and China. I'm looking forward to it now. I think every segment did a great job of getting you hyped for a segment on the pay-per-view. There wasn't any wasted matches.
Right. And sometimes it's easier when there is a pay-per-view and matches are set up like, okay, we're working towards that. So, and then even in terms of working, or I'm sure with agents, whoever, or people are like, oh, I'm getting my heat next week. Oh, I got fucked. I'm getting, you know what I mean? That's no problem. It's not like, why is this open-ended? What happens to me now? It's like, so makes it easier.
The McMahon family is backstage with Patterson and Briscoe. They're all hanging out in the same locker room. It's a touching little moment. And Test walks in and he asks the family if he could just have a moment with Stephanie alone.
Can I have a moment with Stephanie alone and the camera that we know is there or we don't know? I constantly am still amazed and fascinated by how that just developed.
Right. Yeah. Like, wouldn't he ask the camera guy to be like, hey, get the fuck out of here too. I want to.
But it's just, it's real life. But is it? Yeah.
Right. Right. And Tess says he thinks it's best to call the engagement off. And while last week or 2 weeks ago, I was just like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Why? Like, he's still like, she didn't do anything. Why would he do this? At this point, I agree with Test. It's like, I'm not thinking about this. He's like, man, this is a crazy freaking family. Do I really want to marry into this? This is what my life is going to be like this whole time. I have to defend Stephanie. I have to defend my father-in-law. I just want to, marry outside the business. That's the advice Kevin Nash gives people. Never bring your wife in the business.
Right. But calm down a little bit. He just wants to call the engagement off. Sure, that's him. But it's just like, it's too much right now, right?
It's too much. It's
got to clear his head.
And so this is great melodramatic acting. She's like, oh, I guess I should give you this ring back. And she says she hates how this all turned out and that she's so sorry. And Tess says that he still cares about her and he'd always care about her. And she mentions, it's funny. this is the venue where you first asked me out. Which I thought was so funny. And then they have this like moment where they catch each other's eye and they're about to kiss, and who busts in but X-Pac?
Yeah.
And he's like, whoa, what are you doing with my best friend's wife? And Test, you could see the steam coming out of his ears.
Yeah.
Just and like a great setup for a match between Test and X-Pac later. And great little moment for Test. He really needed this character development of having his moment of how he got screwed over as well in this wedding, just as much as the McMahons did here.
Right. And it is fun. It's so stupid because remember just talking about it. We always like viewed D-Generation X almost like in a Western where there's just like a shitty fucking guy with all his ranch hands, the bad guy, and they're always around and like, oh, this guy, it's like they're interchangeable, or even like juvenile delinquents from a 50s movies or something, just the whole gang of like every one of them. Because even talking about like which one should fucking interrupt, and it's kind of like any one of them would have been good. Fucking Road Dogg interrupting, fucking anyone, just like, they're all good, terrible smart asses.
Yeah, and they're great. They're all great talkers. It's a great heel faction here. Kurt Angle comes out. Great instincts here. He's about to start talking. He hears the crowd ramping up their heat, so he waits.
Mm-hmm.
Then he says, if you follow my three eyes, maybe one day this town could win a World Series. And Cole pipes in, like that's ever going to happen.
Yeah. And people now, unfortunately for me, I hated that the tradition that the Boston Red Sox finally won the World Series, because now people look at that like whatever. But you got to realize that team hadn't won in like 100 years and gotten so close that was a big thing to say in 1999. Yeah. Just like such a sore spot, It
was definitely a big Boston meme at the time, I remember.
Just huge.
Right.
Yeah.
There was even that Jimmy Fallon movie with Drew Barrymore about it, right? Like where
absolutely. Yes. There was just all kinds of madness. Yeah.
And a great crossover moment. Nomar is in the crowd. Nomar Garcia-Parra.
Yep.
Angle called Blackman his apprentice on Raw, Michael Cole said. And Lawler noted that'd be like if Nomar teamed up with Omar Vizquel. It just wouldn't work. Who the hell is Omar Vizquel? I'm guessing another baseball player.
Yeah. Yeah. Topical. One of those things.
The Dudleys come out. Great spot to start the match. Devon challenges Angle to a wrestling roll. And so Devon gets on all fours, gives Angle his back. Angle makes easy work of Devon, quickly gets him over for the pin. And then Devon's like, all right, now it's my turn. And so he gets Angle to give Devon his back, and Devon just attacks Angle.
Yeah.
And it's like, you idiot. And this was great. Angle was hogging the match. Steve Blackman was getting annoyed. So he tagged himself in, and in the melee, in the little drama between the two of them, Blackman gets caught in the 3D, and Dudleys get the win. They look strong. And this advances the match between Angle and Blackman at the pay-per-view. And Angle grabs the mic and makes sure to say that he was not pinned. So he is still undefeated. It is Blackman who took the loss.
It's
and who's
true.
going to lose this Sunday. Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I want to mention that while Blackman came out, there was a quick teaser for Taz. The tribal tattoo was playing with a 13 in the middle this time.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we get Bulldog against Christian for the European title. We learned that Edge sprained his knee last week. Not sure if this is a real sprain or
I think it
work
was.
or shoot. But yeah, I guess he wasn't there this week, so I'm assuming.
Yeah. Sounds reasonable.
Taz's logo displays while Bulldog enters. Oh, it was during Bulldog, not Blackman. Excuse me. That the Taz logo displayed. As soon as Christian gets any sort of advantage and is about to hit his finisher, Mean Street Posse runs out. This clean finish, Smart Mark, was not satisfied. However, the asterisk is, if you're going to do one of these finishes, I would much rather it happen 2 minutes into the match than like 10 minutes into the match, because then it's like, why am I investing 10 minutes of my life into something where you're not giving me a finish, where you're just going to hit the eject button? So 2 minutes. This was for this clean finish, Smart Mark. I give this a pass because you are getting across the triple threat. I almost was like, is this going to be a fatal four-way with Christian now? Since he doesn't have a tag team partner, but I guess we'll see on Sunday.
Well, let me get this. If you're a clean finish, Smart Mark, if it if it is going to the next, you are going to tune into the next thing. Does it enhance the next thing because the finish wasn't clean? Or I'm with you, because if sometimes it just feels like, okay, we really couldn't figure out who's going to get advanced here and who's going to get the pinfall, and that's going to be murky. So let's do this just to get out of it, as opposed to like, oh, I got fucked here and now I've got to, go to the next thing. It doesn't. Yeah, it has no impact. It's just kind of like, I know what you mean, because sometimes you smell, they're doing that because neither of them really wanted to lose, or
yeah, exactly. There's no resolution ultimately in whatever the drama of the match was.
Right.
It's just an escape, like an escape key or whatever.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like we said even before, when the Jericho thing, that was a pinfall at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a clean finish. Yeah, we really got to clean this up because I love not clean finishes, but I do like pinfalls, and I do know what you're saying, and I do agree with you. But sometimes it's inevitable. You just got to be judicious about it, because you do it too much, and it's like,
yes. And here I think it's fair. This is a fair finish for this match, what you're setting up, and the amount of time you committed to it.
Right.
Then we have Kevin Kelly interviewing Miss Kitty backstage, promoting the Fatal 4-Way evening gown match for the prestigious WWF Women's Championship.
Right.
He's interviewing Miss Kitty, who's in a lovely burgundy gown. And she says China may have volunteered her, but she's serious about winning. So serious that after she wins, they'll stop calling her Miss Kitty and start calling her the Cat. And Kevin Kelly totally blows her off like, yeah, right. Just make sure to wear some underwear. She's so insulted that she shows Kevin Kelly what she's about, and she rips off his button-down shirt.
Yep.
And it goes crazy. And Kevin Kelly is just traumatized here, being abused at the workplace. I wonder if he filed the complaint with HR. I'm guessing probably not.
I don't believe he did.
Yeah, I feel like the locker room might have roasted him for that.
And just a good time-honored gimmick that wrestling has done throughout the years. There's nothing better than someone ripping your shirt off. It's more humiliating than getting slapped in the face.
I would agree.
Your shirt ripped off,
Definitely felt, yeah.
Yeah, I just love some of those old. Ric Flair probably did it half a dozen times where he's ripping his suit off and he's out there and the belt's still attached, and then like half a pant leg is flapping and he's got boxers, but he's got those high dress socks and
best.
His suit's a tattered. Because I've seen a couple, real fights in bar, or the aftermaths of fights in like a bar or something, and people do have ripped clothes and they're out there like, whoa, and it's pretty good. Yeah. So.
You've lived.
Yeah. Wasn't me. I just saw it.
Yeah.
Hey, look over there.
You're the one egging it on secretly. They didn't realize it because they were so drunk. You're like, you're gonna take that from him.
Yeah,
should probably go over there and
rip that guy's shirt off.
So we have a recap of this Bossman angle from Raw. Bossman, because he's Jewish.
Good. We recapped it.
Well, it makes sense. See, like here, so you gotta see the latest twist in the angle, which is that Big Show is a bastard.
And he didn't know it.
Yeah, he didn't know it. This is how he learned. He learned it by Big Show getting his mother to admit it. Bossman comes out with Albert. They have a tag team match. And he gets on the mic. He says, hey, Big Freak Show. Who's your daddy, punk? And there's a sign in the crowd even. Big Show, who's your daddy? So, this angle's over.
Yeah. New meaning to the phrase, who's your daddy? A literal meaning. Pretty good.
They're taking on the Hardys. And I thought, again, you do a run in here, but warranted. And what I like, okay, so you knew you only have 2 minutes for this match.
Wait a minute. So you're a warranted run-in smart mark?
Well, look, I'm going to say I will put an asterisk that on the go-home show, there is a higher tolerance, especially in the Attitude Era, for run-ins.
Okay. Sure.
Than on other episodes. Like also on the pay-per-view as well. I feel like a pay-per-view run-in is much more egregious than a go-home show. Like this, you're building up to like, okay, you're getting a payoff. And especially at this point, this is before the PLE era when it was $5 a month. This is when you got to shell like $30-$40 a month.
Sure.
So you got to get their money's worth there.
I agree. I just didn't know if you can hold credentials as a clean finish smart mark and a wait, what was the one I just said? Oh,
well, there's the run-in brigade.
Oh no, warranted run-in. Yeah,
right. That's the warranted run-in smart mark.
A warranted run-in smart mark. Can you be in both organizations? A warranted run-in smart mark and a clean finish?
I think there's a crossover.
Okay.
I think there's a crossover. So what I was going to say is because you knew there was a run-in, Bossman and Albert didn't even bother getting heat. They were just like, hey, Hardys, we'll take your offense for 2 minutes, do a bunch of cool stuff, get the crowd going.
Yeah.
And then the announcers say that Big Show just arrived in the arena. And look, Big Show just learned this awful news about himself, and he learned it in the worst way possible because of the guy in the ring. If you're Big Show, it makes complete logical sense that screw the rules. I'm going out there. I'm the world champion. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hurt the big boss man. You know, right. And the Hardys aren't even mad because they're like, yeah, you should. This guy's a jerk.
Yeah.
And Big Show finally gets some heat back. I really like that and runs them off. So I thought that was really good. And I thought this was a great build for the match. You're getting Big Show the heat that he needs as the world champion, even though you're probably going to pull the rug from under him pretty soon.
Right.
This is a short experiment.
But no one knows that. No one knows.
Right. We don't know that yet.
Yeah. And actually, we didn't know it at the time. Look, and again, like I always say in wrestling, everything's a long-term program and everything's a short experiment simultaneously at any time.
Right.
That's that. It's just, you
right.
know.
But even like as you put the title on him because it was kind of a hot shot thing. You had that Austin thing. You had to get out of it. You wanted to create something newsworthy. But even after that, you were like, all right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
The natural order of things is the world title program is the secondary program on the show. Like the main event is absolutely Triple H Vince.
Yeah.
But you want the world title to be the main program. So you almost kind of have to transfer it back.
Yeah. Yes. And you're not wrong, but also no, in the sense that like you want everything hot. Doesn't really matter as long as things are hot and also there's a lot of factors. One, I would say it's almost like with Andre the Giant and in the Big Show is he is a draw just because of his physicality, period. So in some ways you don't want to like if you can peel him off and always be a draw like the Undertaker, you could look at it that way. For you, He only had a short title run because it was almost like, I don't want to say he's above the title, but it's great to have like, oh, his stuff is so otherworldly and off to the side. And then we can have, you know what I mean? That way you can almost like pump up a title. It's almost like, I wouldn't say they cancel each other out, but that is a factor always of like, you know what I mean? Like, if that made any sense. So all that stuff play a little bit.
I mean, you are giving Big Show credibility much more than he's had 2 months prior. Right. So there is that, but I'm just not quite sure if he's accepted as a main eventer at the moment by the crowd. But in this moment, even I'm not sure if it was crowd sweetening or what, but it looked good. It looked hot.
Yeah. I think I'd say yes.
Yeah. We get a narrated recap by Michael Cole of the Al Snow storyline with his friendship with Mankind. And then we get the match, Al Snow versus Mankind. This is a big match for Snow. It's a featured match with a storyline with a main eventer. And Mankind, of course, it has a match on Sunday with him and The Rock against the New Age Outlaws for the tag titles, which is coincidentally why Al Snow is mad at Mankind, because he doesn't think he should be friends with The Rock, of course. And on his side, Mankind doesn't want to fight Al Snow. He still considers Al Snow a friend. He turns his back to Snow to show how much he doesn't want to fight, but Snow is crazed. Lots of offense. Foley takes a lot of abuse, finally gets the upper hand, brings a chair into the ring, but hesitates to hit his best friend. Snow has no hesitation. He grabs the chair out of Foley's hand, hits Foley, destroys Foley, and gets the victory. And beats him up after for good measure.
Yep. Pretty good.
Yeah, I like it.
That's a clean finish.
That's a clean finish. Mick Foley can eat
Dastardly.
50 pins and he'll still be super over, so he can take the loss. And you're getting Snow over as a heel here. A heel that should be taken seriously. He's not a joke anymore.
Yeah, and also someone pushed into a corner who's kind of losing, potentially mentally unbalanced.
Yes, this is
losing
great
friends and what have you.
Progress from the Walmart debacle.
Yeah. Yes.
Now it's the contract signing. The entire McMahon family comes out. Vince McMahon says this is all just a formality and that he's going to destroy Triple H on Sunday. Triple H should just come out and sign this thing. Triple H comes out and rejects the notion that this is a formality because it's a big deal. This contract guarantees him a world title because all Triple H needs is one shot and he'll win it.
I just remember it was pretty funny, talking, because sometimes you'd talk those things out and be like, oh, he gets a restraining order. That's a good idea. How long is a restraining order? Are they 500 feet or what can they? And then we were like, hey, let's call up the lawyer. Wait, hold on. Then at a certain point, I think someone said, who gives a shit? Just make it 50. You know what I mean? We were concerned about are restraining orders 50 feet? Aren't they usually 500 yards? Or I don't know. Depends all this stuff. And we were going to get the lawyer and, or while
you
we're
want to be
waiting.
accurate.
Yeah. And then at some point it's like, oh, fuck, who gives a shit? Just fucking make it 50 feet for our purposes here. And also this, you know what I mean? Cause it's like we said before, the less you explain, the better. Cause sometimes it's be like, well, what kind of floating jurisdiction is law enforcement? You know what I mean? You're in different cities. You know what I mean? Once you start fucking peeling away and poking at the legitimacy of the accuracy of everything, it'll fucking crumble. So we just it's fine. You'll be arrested by who? Just some strange law enforcement entity. Doesn't fucking matter, because sometimes we talk about that. It'd be like, oh, you've got a restraining order, but now we're in Boston. Oh, fucking just don't bring it up. Just make it clean. Fuck it. Move forward. You have to do it sometimes.
Well, yeah, this was great. And it played in excellently into the storyline that's about to go down. So, Triple H notes this is going to be a great opportunity to beat Vince's ass more than harder than it's been beaten before. I don't know if he said ass. Oh, he may have, and it got bleeped. I've been trying to pay attention to because you're being very judicious.
Yeah, I can't remember
how many times you say it,
and sometimes just drop out the audio too because it is tape. Right. It is Smackdown.
Triple H said, you're going to face me in a no holds barred match, one of the most dangerous matches in the world because I can do anything I please. I'm the game. Which actually, this is a great point. This is one of the top pro wrestlers in the world against, Vince, a non-wrestler. Vince should be scared. I understand it's personal, but and there's no rules. This is the odds are stacked in Triple H's favor.
Certainly, but then again, this is so odd and unique for people to be like, but fuck, of course. In a cage or whatever, Vince versus Triple H, there's no contest. But it is fucking Vince McMahon. And what the fuck is he going to pull out of his hat?
Right. What weapons
you know what I mean?
Use? Exactly.
And not only just personally, but other shenanigans, people. You mean? It's always good because you would think as a viewer, you could be watching this well, fuck, someone from DX could fucking turn on him because Vince could get to him from, you know what I mean? There's so many things that you could could happen, that you would think. And that was pretty good. There's nothing worse than sometimes watching and going well, I know what's not going to happen. But at this point, you really don't know, it could be anything. Interesting.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You don't know where things are going to go. He noted that once he signs this papers, it guarantees him a lifetime of wedded bliss with your daughter, Stephanie. Everyone in the ring is disgusted by this line. And he says, as I stand in front of the McMahon family, one of the most successful families in the history of American business. This is a very prophetic line here. A family that I'm so proud of being a part of. Like father, like son, I'm pretty successful myself. I just completed one of the most successful business decisions of my life when I married your daughter.
Yeah.
He says the stock options alone are insane. Just oh, wow. Yeah.
It's kind of amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
What about you, Vince? What's the most successful thing you've ever done? And Vince says, it's what I'm going to do to you this Sunday. And the crowd goes crazy. Triple H notes since he has a 50-foot restraining order, Triple H can't get in the ring to sign it. So why doesn't Vince send the lovely Stephanie McMahon down to take the contract from Triple H so Vince can sign it? And of course, Vince sends Shane instead of Stephanie, hands him the contract. Vince takes the contract. He says, Triple H, you haven't signed the contract. Triple H says, of course, Vince, I know better. I always sign last. That's what you taught me. So Vince signs it, gives it to Shane to bring back to Triple H. Triple H signs it and then attacks Shane and says, this is what's going to happen to you on Sunday, and throws Shane off the stage into a table. A beautiful spot.
Horrifying.
Really, yeah. Great final pitch for the match.
And setting up one of many Shane McMahon super bumps.
Yeah.
Being I'm a Shane McMahon super bump smart mark myself. I haven't seen you at those. I didn't see you at the meeting. You're juggling too many clubs.
I don't show up. I just donate the fees and I figure that's enough.
Right.
But yeah, no, I loved Shane at the time. Thought he was great and always over-delivered for the fans. Backstage after, Shane is getting attended to by BB and the other EMTs, and Vince apologizes, said he never wanted Shane to be involved. Shane says, don't worry about it. And then Shane cuts a promo on Triple H saying that he wants Vince to take him out this Sunday. The whole family is just tired of Triple H's shenanigans.
Yeah.
Then we have X-Pac versus Test. And here's where I totally fell into my markdom, because I thought, finally, you're going to give Test a moment to get his heat back. X-Pac can take a loss. He's pretty Teflon, and Test could really use a win right now, because as we've mentioned, he's looking like a herb. He's never got anything on DX. They always get a one up on him.
Right.
They stole his wife, his fiance from him. But only one of these guys has a match at the pay-per-view this weekend, and it's not Test. It's X-Pac. And you want to make X-Pac look strong and show that X-Pac can beat a giant, which in this case Test is.
Right.
So while it is not a completely clean finish, there's a low blow involved. It's low blow to X Factor. Test does have the out that he has a fractured nose, and the X Factor, you land right on your nose. So he's selling that he was injured enough to eat a 3 count. So the Test as a Herb tour continues. And X-Pac continues to his match against Kane this Sunday.
Right. Well, part of that too is I don't disagree. Kind of painful to say he's on the Herb tour, but I can't completely disagree. Although, part of it is, individuals can't. If you look at someone like fucking Dusty Rhodes never almost got his comeuppance a lot. He did in like house shows and stuff, but he was like forever being like, oh no, he got screwed again. And, just because he had that ability to like sell in such a way and get people behind, like, he's got to attain the possible. Oh no, he got kicked down again. So, I think in ways Test wasn't put in that position good enough, or wasn't maybe seasoned enough to get that, or and still being
and it's not like he's in the program with Triple H. It's Vince in the program getting vengeance. Yeah. So like he's not even getting a moment to get his stuff back, get payback. But I really it's almost like as a fan, you don't even care. You're like, it's fine.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you don't. But what you're saying is and again, it's like. Yeah, the 40,000 foot view of 25 years retrospective.
Right.
I mean? Yeah, certainly.
And look, you're still kind of fixing up inherited storylines. Test and Stephanie were together before you got there.
Yeah.
So you're still in this realignment moment where you're getting things to where this new regime wants them. But I feel like we're so close to like everything is about to fall into place.
Yeah.
I feel by Royal Rumble, it's like now we're cooking.
Yeah. It's cooking now. Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely cooking. No. Don't get like, and the angle this Sunday or at Armageddon is so great. I can't wait to watch it. But let's not jump ahead.
Yes.
So then we have Rock against B.A. Billy Gunn. Rock gets on the mic. Unbelievable reaction for The Rock, and while this might be sweetened, you could even see it behind The Rock. Everyone is just going crazy. This is the biggest star on the show. Easily. There's a Rock fan in the crowd tonight, The Rock says, and it's Nomar Garcia Parra.
Right.
who is wearing a Rock shirt, a Layeth the Smackdown shirt, which I'm sure WWE graciously provided for him, which is always great marketing. Him and his posse wearing the Rock shirt. The Rock does a promo where he says he's going to do what he does every week, and that's Layeth the Smacketh down, and then he doesn't pause and goes 1, 2, 3. So people don't say on his candy ass.
Right.
Because he's saving the use of the word ass here. He says, we're going to a special place here in Boston. No, Nomar, not the Kitty Cat Club, which I think we could all understand what that means. But it's a venue you're familiar with, Fenway Park, where Nomar's team, the Boston Red Sox, play. I don't know if our listeners have heard of Fenway Park. It's not a very famous tourist attraction in Boston, but just in case. So he says, The Rock says, as we stand on the mound and look at the dugout, The Rock is going to grab a bat so Nomar can shine it up real nice. And they cut to Nomar. Nomar's playing along. He's shining it up. And The Rock goes, keep shining, keep shining. And he goes, the Rock is going to go grab the bat. He's shining it up real nice. Turn that sumbitch. And now here's the bleep. The bleep was on the bitch. Turn that sumbitch sideways and stick it straight up. And then he takes the mic away. So the crowd says, you're candy ass.
Yep.
So The Rock doesn't say it.
That's the weird FCC distinction.
Right. And then immediately after you hear, I'm an ass man.
Yeah. Oops.
You just hear the Billy Gunn entrance theme with ass in it. A lot of ass tonight. And the end of this match is Earl Hebner is kind of in the way, gets the wind knocked out of him right as Billy Gunn hits his finisher, the Famouser. And
Fame Asser.
The Fame Asser, but on SmackDown, it's the Famouser. Billy Gunn can't get the pin. Then The Rock runs Billy Gunn into the ref. Rock hits the people's elbow, but now Earl Hebner can do the pin, so The Rock gets the victory. Of course, The Rock has to beat Billy Gunn. Come on, he's higher on the totem pole. But you give Billy now. This isn't quite. This is a clever finish, I will say. It's clean. It's clean.
Is it two ref bumps? Call that clean?
Well, there's no running, at least.
It's a pinfall. Yeah, that's why we need to make this distinction.
Pinfall.
There's a pinfall, right. Smart mark. Straight.
Yes.
We need something like a straight pinfall, or it's a pinfall smart mark and a clean finish.
You know what? Right. This is a shenanigan pinfall finish. There's still shenanigans when it was a pinfall. Yeah,
but it's a pinfall.
Right. Not quite a clean finish, but a shenanigan finish.
Now that we talked that out, clean finishes are pretty rare.
Right. Especially on the TV shows, I would say.
Sure. Yeah. But a pinfall.
But again, this is a special circumstance because it is the go home show.
Yeah.
Ultimately, all of these non-finishes, so to speak, are setting up what's happening at the pay-per-view. It's not like you have the clean finish and then both of these guys move on to a different feud. That infuriates me to no end.
I would argue, now that I think of it, in all the wrestling and all the decades that I've seen, probably only about 10% are clean finishes. And there might be 70% are pinfalls.
Well, in American wrestling, let's say. I feel in Japanese wrestling, there was a lot of clean finish.
Yeah, there's a lot more. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But still,
that's where I developed my taste for it.
Yeah. There's ref bumps and,
absolutely.
But yes, much higher percentage. I would agree.
Then we have the main event. Triple H has entered. Earl Hebner still in the ring from the previous match. Senior official Earl Hebner. Triple H has some words with him like, hey, you screwed my buddy, B.A. Billy Gunn. Earl Hebner's like, I don't got time for this. I'm a senior referee. And he pushes Triple H back. And Triple H is like, hey, I'm the game. You can't push me back. And so he beats up Earl Hebner.
Yeah.
Puts him in an Indian deathlock and stomps on his knee and takes him out. So Earl Hebner's out. Certainly a fine is coming Triple H's way for this. You can't touch an official like that.
Doesn't matter with those stock options.
So this is a great callback to, I think this was a week ago. A ref comes down in a Vince McMahon mask. And Michael Cole is asking, wait a minute, is that Vince McMahon? And Triple H sees him and he's like, what the, immediately knocks him out. He doesn't even have time for this. Goes back to the match with Kane. They're doing a back and forth. A second referee comes down with a Vince McMahon mask. And again, the moment Triple H gets the advantage in the match, he knocks this ref down. A third ref with a McMahon mask comes out and Triple H tries to attack him. Kane throws him to the outside. And now the 3 McMahon refs surround Triple H.
Yeah.
He's begging off because he's a heel, slowly walking up the stage. You see behind him what is clearly Vince McMahon, because he's wearing the same suit that Vince has been wearing all night, but still wearing the Vince McMahon mask, hits Triple H with a lead pipe and attacks Triple H, gets a short order of revenge, even though he technically now could be arrested. He did. Although you'd have to prove it.
You'd have to unmask him. You'd have to unmask him.
Someone stole his suit.
Yeah.
No finish here. Mike Clean finished smart marked him. Not satisfied, but I get it. It's all just an angle to push this.
Yeah, and also I would argue it was just so odd and fun because we were talking about those.
No, it was great.
Man masks, and also it was smart to be like, I can't remember actually where it came from, but like just as a little. Always looking for a motif or some kind of through line all the time to just get all, it all adds up and helps that like, hey, he fucking took a ref out. So these are refs coming back for revenge, even though they're not related in any way. It just helps for the broadcasters, whatever. Like, oh, he fucks a ref up and now there's these refs. And you know what I mean? Just little things like that are always like, try to have like, even as little as it is, some kind of reason going forward. But I kind of like that, like, because there wasn't a reason for him to beat up Hebner then, but now these evil refs are after him. Kind of makes a little bit of sense, not much. Yeah, I just love those. I just love that shot too, like 3 Vinces coming. That was great. Up the step, and he's like, what's going on? I will say, was a little bit of a, and I always hate to do this, like point out something that's kind of like, but part of it was like. Vince is getting physical and Vince is starting to get into these matches and stuff, which is good because Vince will be like, I'm not going to ask anyone to do something I wouldn't do, but he's green and he's green and put him in a mask. And I certainly didn't like his use of like the pipe was great from behind, but then when X-Pac came out, the way the camera was set up, him taking out all the rest of DX looked a little. It was a little. Yeah. It was a little.
I didn't
dicey.
even notice that. It was a little. There was a lot going on. But,
if you watch it, X-Pac comes out like this, like and then like take a gut shot. But also, in fairness to Vince, you put a green guy in a mask you can't fucking see, and you got the camera right there. So in retrospect, you're like, oh, I should have put the camera. So probably looked better from the rafters, but just the way that was like one of those things. Like, oh yeah, because
you'll live, you'll learn.
Yeah. And often like, you don't like to run through shit too much. It's like, yeah, we'll go out there and you'll run out and we'll fucking do the thing. And they always kind of coach him through it. But that was a little anti, should have been better. Should have been better.
Well, how would you rate the build up to Armageddon here? This is it. You had 4 weeks, a good solid 4 weeks of shows, set up all these matches. We now know the card for Armageddon.
Well, here's the thing. It's like a football thing. I think on paper, the scheme, the schematics, whatever, all added up. I think I love the the weirdness of the McMahons and the mess, but I do think that ending could have been executed a lot better. As far as like Vince taking out the rest of DX and some just the execution of it was like.
Right.
Okay. You know what I mean? And people
really, he could have if he had just taken out Triple H, it would have been fine, right? If he had just done that one shot. Yeah. You didn't need the follow. Like you could have just ended it there.
Yeah, and it could have been a little something bigger on Triple H, and then they could have peeled off and DX could have came out and huddled or dragged him away. Or there just could have been, it was a little okay, and you gotta. That's how it goes sometimes.
Well, here's the card. We have the Tag Team Battle Royal. We have Steve Blackman versus Kurt Angle. We have the Women's World Title Fatal 4-Way Evening Gown match with Ivory, Jacqueline, Miss Kitty, and BB. We have a tag team match, Rikishi Vatu and Viscera against the Hollies. We'll have to see how Viscera gets involved there. The European title triple threat match, British Bulldog, D'Lo Brown, and Val Venus. Kane versus X-Pac in a steel cage match. For the Intercontinental title, China against Chris Jericho. The world title, New Age Outlaws against the Rock and Sock Connection. Big Show versus Big Boss Man for the world heavyweight title. And the no holds barred match with Triple H and Vince McMahon.
Oh, fuck. What a fucking card. It's great. Yeah, really. And you know what I mean? It's still, this era is still kind of taking its lead from the old wrestling posters, you know, that had, you know, Viscera and Rikishi, you know, over 12, you know, whatever that would be, almost 1,000 pound tag team, you know, you could
half a ton of
more than half a ton of, you know, and one tag team practically, you know, just everything, and evening gown, and it's like different, and you could just see that all on the poster, and just it seems like now they don't, you don't know how many matches are, or it's not billed like that. We got this, and then this, and then this, you know what I mean? And they're all a little different, and all these you know, battle royal thing, and then a triple threat. Oh, and then a revenge thing. And in a cage, X-Pac and Kane. That's, you know, it's like, it's very eclectic in a way, if you will. All these like different matches. Yeah, that's a fucking card. Now that's something to be like, holy smokes. That's getting your money's worth. You got like 10 matches, all kinds of storylines, Blackman angle. It's fucking great. I think that's great. Really
yeah,
good.
I'm excited. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited for you to watch with us. And I want to remind you, after Armageddon, we're going to be doing a Q&A episode. So we'd love to hear your questions for us to answer. You can ask Tommy anything. The email address is tftattitudeera@gmail.com. Try to stick to wrestling, though.
Yes.
You know, don't ask him about like the meaning of life or whatever.
Yes. Well, within wrestling, if the meaning of life is to be answered in pro wrestling terms.
Yeah, in kayfabe terms, sure. That's acceptable.
Yeah, sure.
And so I'm very excited. Next week, we're doing Armageddon. We hope you tune in with us. Until then, we'll catch you on Tales from the Attitude Era.